Good evening and welcome. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host, and I am so happy you found this podcast because I want to share with you of how to fight CPS and have them stop taking our children. Yes, you heard me right. The Child Protection Services in all the 50 states and worldwide has gone rogue. What I mean by that, they found out that making money is more important than the child's best interest, the family's best interest. They're supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse, but it constantly goes on. And then they supposed to do family reunification. Well, they forget about that. And 99% of the allegations that come in, that are by lay people, they take it as the truth. And so you're guilty before you start out of the gate. And then 99% of the time, they come over and investigate you, and you not knowing the laws, allow them to come in your home and take your children, surrender your children. And they're not in immediate danger. But it's kind of a racket. And no matter what state I talk to, because I've talked to all 50 states. I've been doing this since October. I've talked to over 500 people. And I've talked to people worldwide too. And it's a very corrupt system. Very, 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 very corrupt. My host, Danielle, is having computer issues or network issues or some other kind of issues. I apologize if I drink a sip of something cold, but my throat dries up. And I don't know how your day was, but my day was awful. Oh, my goodness gracious. I don't know where to start begin. But everybody has one of those days. And it is hard. People have ups and downs all the time. And let me trying to get my cords to plug in because I want to make sure my phone is perfectly charged. Well, today I got on a bicycle for the first time in I don't know how long. I would say 20 years at least. That was hard. Plus, I'm not in the shape that I used to be, and that was even more hard. I had to go run down where my car was stolen. That was a challenge and a half. And I found it, but now it's going to have to cost a lot of money to take it out. Oh my God, it's terrible. And I had to go to the grocery store too to get food, dinner for the family. So I had to ride a bike. It was tough. It was tough. So my day didn't start off really good. Now, there's many ways you can interact with this podcast. Now, I want to check on Danielle because she's usually here by now. And I've heard nothing from her, but Faye, one of my other cohorts, said that she may have some problems. So okay, I just text Danielle, my co-host, and let me go ahead and see if I can get a hold of Faye. Whew. Well, I had Faye's number here, but I don't see it. Oh boy. Let me see here. Faye, where are you? There you are. Okay, so I've contacted our co-host, Danielle. I wonder where she's. Oh, we have two people that come in since that time. Well, hello there, Lori. You've been on here for a long time, and all you do is you type in William Mullins. And I don't know who William Mullins is, but maybe you could clarify that. I also like to see the city and state you're from. And Alberta FU. The system is shocking. There's a need to redesign for the ways in education of parents and monitoring parents. I agree, Alberta Fu. I don't know what city and state you are. I'd like to know. Oh, there you are, Faye. I was looking for some support. I had after I talked to you today, it went down. Oh my goodness gracious! But anyway, I'm here. I can't believe I made it to be here. To be honest with you, it was really a struggle to be here. It always is. It seems to be in my life. But anyway, I welcome you all. Faye is from Richmond, Kentucky. She's a long-standing person in there. And hey, we got a West Hollywood girl, Nadia. Welcome, Nadia. I haven't seen you in a while. I hope you're off your cardboard on your driveway. But she's from West Hollywood, California. We have two other people, Alberta Fu and Lori Hiller. And I don't know, I know Lori, she's been on here many times before. So I'm glad to see some of our regulars show up in the room. I've had a really rough day. Now, we've done some topics the last couple of days. Has been great. Faye's come up with some really great topics we talked about. So we are trying to think of things that you parents would like to know and go over some things that would help the other parents. I mean, you're in here because your children were trafficking by CPS. Well, you heard me right, trafficking. They do traffic children. In fact, if you don't believe me, all you have to do is go to the year 2022, look up Prescott, Arizona's CPS. They're called the DCS, Department of Children's Services. And they decided one day to buy pink T-shirts and silkscreen on in the front. We're professional kidnappers. Can you believe that? They would go and put down the front of the T-shirt. And on the back, they said, "Do you know where your parents are?" Oh, boy. I mean, and they proudly wore it out in public. Well, it didn't last long. They've been fired, including the director. In fact, the whole department, that was 25 years experience went out the window. So how are the children being protected now? But that's the attitude of the social workers that work in CPS. And I'm sad to say, I know it firsthand. I was involved in CPS, so I know what the workers are like. I know what the directors are like. I know I know all the corruption. Faye would tell you about there's $800,000, over $800,000 they can't find out in Richmond, Kentucky, where the money went. There's that much money. You see, you have to understand, for all you new listeners, the ones that have been listening here for a while, that it's a $80 million business, $80 billion business. That's Billion, $80 billion. And in Orange County alone, they take away $20,000. They give, when your child is in the system, they get $20,000 per child per month. Now, I know Los Angeles County is a little different. It's $15,000 per month per child. And then there's additional fees, $5,000 a month for foster care. I mean, the fees go on and on. And the social workers, they're not even qualified to do what they're doing. They have no college degree, nothing in social work, took no social work classes. They haven't even taken the parenting classes or the special program classes that you parents need to take. They don't even know. My social worker was in her early 20s, and, she was just, I guess, got a job because, I don't know, she looked pretty or something. I don't know. She didn't have qualifications. I would never hire her. And on top of that, she did nothing for her family. She ruined her family. I had to sell my home that I worked 40 years for. You know how hard it is to work 40 years for a home? And when the home is paid off, that's terrible. Now you have to go to today's rates and start over again. Plus, at my age, it's hard. In 2010, at age 60, I was laid off through no fault of my own. And in 2015, at age 65, my kids were stolen, kidnapped, and alienated from us parents. 3 of them. We have 6. Luckily, the other ones were old. They were grown up and out, not at home when this was all happening. But we had a problem, and that's where these allegations come into play. A layperson, a family member of my in-laws, decided to be smart, and they've always wanted our kids. They didn't want us to get married. And 32 years ago, they didn't like me. They didn't like me then. So they did their best to cry wolf. And they cried wolf for 5 years. And finally, I was tricked to fall in a detective home and insisted I had to come home. And there was 9 people in my yard. It was terrible. I had 5 firemen. I don't know why it takes 5 firemen. My house wasn't on fire. And 2 police officers in uniform, a detective, 3 social workers. I don't know why it takes 3 social workers, and 2 code enforcement. That's a lot of people. And you would think that something was going wrong in my house. They found no drugs. They found the house was clean. The children's bedroom was clean. The only thing they could come up with, and believe me, they tried everything. They measured the smoke alarms. They tested the smoke alarms and made sure that the back door had a lock on it so you couldn't get in the swimming pool. On the outside, a gate was around so you couldn't get in the swimming pool. And the only thing they found was a loose gate. The nuts weren't tight enough, and the yard needed a haircut. Well, I just lost my job, and I haven't really been doing much yard work, and so it was overgrown. But that certainly wouldn't endanger the children. But then what they got me on, which is I think is the most stupidest thing I ever heard of, because I had my parents' belongings in my home, stacked. They were stacked, organized, and neatly. But I was going through them and sent them to family members, but my parents were dying. At that period of time of life, they said, we need to sell our home. Can you help us out? And like a fool, I said, yeah, I'll help you out, Mom and Dad. And my daughter and I went, got the belongings, put it in a U-Haul truck, and put it in my home. I had no money at the time for storage. I regret that I would have put them into storage. I didn't. So, unfortunately, they said because the things were stacked, that you're negligent. Your children are in danger from boxes flying upstairs or furniture walking up the stairs that'll attack the children while they're sleeping. That's absurd. They weren't in danger. They're in school. They're in school 5 days a week. And one of them plays on the varsity football team, and they play across the country. And he has football every day except Sunday. And he has football in the morning, football in the afternoon, all day school. And, he just turned 18, but for 4 years. So, they tell me that they're in danger and they're at school. They're A's and B's students. And they're in STEM classes, that thing that's called the science, technology, engineering, and math, because they wanted to be engineers. They wanted that thing. So that's their accelerated school. There's no problem with them at school. No problem at home. No problem at home. No problem at home. So it was a horrible, horrible thing. It was a horrible, horrible thing. I guess everybody in life, I don't know what it is. You guys probably what kind of man Bob Pace is. Well, I'm a loving father. I love my 6 children. I'm a family man. Family comes first. I try to work for a living. I've been working since I was age 15. And, I have worked all my life. You're looking at 60 years of working. 60 years. So that's a long time. Unfortunately, I think because of my age, they think it's time for me to retire or something like that. It's like my cars. They don't want my cars anymore to be fixed. They say it's time to retire them. I know they're old, but right now I can't afford a new car. I mean, when I bought those cars, were cheap. I mean, when I was in high school, our Corvette was like $3,000, but Mustangs were $1,200. You get a Pinto for $1,000, and gasoline was a quarter. Movies were 10 cents. And you probably think, oh my God, he's a dinosaur. Well, yeah, my technically age, I'm 74. If you haven't guessed, I'm 74. And I just rode a bike for 20 miles. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I was able to handle anything that comes thrown at me. That's the kind of man I am. I can fix things. And anyway, my son just graduated, so I'm kind of excited because now he's on his next step is college. So I have my two boys, the ones that were stolen by CPS in 2015. They came back in 2017, but I had to fight for them. I had to fight for them. And thank you, Natalie, for your kind words. I know I'm trying to work my best to take care of my family. They always have come first. Anyway, wow, today was a ruckus thing. But all of you in this room, you're probably wondering, what kind of guy I am. I'm college educated. I have a Bachelor of Science in Marine Biology. I've worked as a animal trainer. I've trained killer whales and walruses and penguins and dolphins and pilot whales. I've trained marine mammals. I've also taught at the University a marine mammal class. So I'm a teacher. I also have a secondary teaching credential. I teach high school biology and chemistry, and I teach the advanced placement classes, the ones that are college uh, level that you can get credit when you go to college. So during my years, I first started my first job, though. I worked at a pet shop selling pet supplies because I wanted pets, and the only way I could get that is I had to work. So I worked at age 15, the summer of, oh boy, 1964. That's a long time. Long time. But anyway, I've worked all my life. I've worked as a machinist. I've worked as a manager at Chart House. I used to manage the Chart House restaurants. I'm a good people guy, and I ran the restaurant really well. That was in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And I've been an ocean lifeguard for 10 years of my life. I've done the West Coast and the East Coast as an ocean lifeguard. And so I've done that. And I've given 50 years of my time to the American Red Cross. 50 years I've volunteered my time to the Red Cross. I've given probably another 25 years to the Boy Scouts of America in the scouting program as an adult leader when boys were in scouts and so forth. I've also volunteered in the AYSO soccer. And, I've always given my time to my country. I love my country. And I think by helping others, and I think the show is a lot. The show it's hard to get up for the show twice a day. And I try to make it so that's entertaining and that you guys feel comfortable and that I can suggest something that will relieve you. I can't promise you that everything will work, but I've had people come back, last week and said, Bob, what you told us worked. We got our kids back. Those are the stories I like to hear when they say something works and they got their kids back. I know what Faye is. She has a 22-year-old son that she's struggling to be a guardian of her son to take care of him. But there's a lot of interference out there, and the police have really made her life miserable. Nadia has a small little place in West Hollywood, but she's being harassed by the police, and she is going through some hard times. Well, hello there, Michelle White. Thank you. I'd really appreciate that. It's inspirational when I hear someone tell me that. Wow. I tried to there. I mean, I'm here. I love every one of you. Unfortunately, I had experience what you're all going through no fault of my own. My children ripped my heart. And I fought. Oh my goodness, did I fought. And I thought, a public defender will help me. Oh boy, was I the wrong news. The public defender didn't help me. Oh God, they're a waste of time. Their caseload is 30 people long, and you don't want to use a public defender. They don't meet you ahead of time. They try to do what's easy for them. They don't want to fight for your case. They're friends with the social worker attorneys. They're friends with the children attorneys. They're friends with the judge. My judge was so corrupt. My judge, is elected official, but his background is how to do car repairs and automobile claims and those kinds of things. What kind of judge knows about neglect or abuse of children or family reunification. There's so many bad things I hear every day from y'all. I really am so sorry. They come to you like a father from Louisiana, Columbia, Louisiana, who's in the yard and his wife was in the house laying down. The social workers came into the yard with asking not for permission. There's a gate. You see, people have to understand if you have a gate, they need permission to go inside your yard. Your yard is your castle. You can tell the police, you can tell anybody, you cannot come in here. The only way they can come into your castle is if they have a warrant from a court ordered judge. And it has to be a correct warrant. There's so many bogus warrants out there. I mean, social workers are making copies and folders of other ones, and they're not legit. They flash in your face. You need to read it. A warrant has to have your name on it, the children's name on it, the allegations, the address of where they're going to go to serve the warrant, and the date and time they can serve the warrant, and it's got to be signed by a judge and embossed. That means a seal on that court document. It's the warrant. That's a legitimate. That's the only time they can come into your home and take your child or speak to you if they have a warrant. And it's got to spell what they can do. Waving in front of you or say, I get one, or the police are coming, that's intimidation. Police need the same kind of paperwork. You can say, no, you're not coming in. And better yet, you can say, I need to talk to my attorney first before I go any further. Please give me your name and badge number. And you can look on their uniform, they'll have the badge number. And the social workers always carry IDs. But you guys are struggling out there, and I know you are. And one of the biggest problems, of course, is money. Money is a hard thing. I don't know if you all went in the store today and looked at prices, but orange juice keeps going up and up. It's like $7 for a bottle that 3 months ago, it was $2.99. A frozen can of orange juice is $3.50. A gallon of milk is $5.50. I'm just sitting, and my income, I'm on a fixed income. I do get Social Security, but unfortunately, the neighborhood I live in was where my home was once located. And I once, was working at a good paying job. I mean, I've had some good paying jobs in civil engineering, building roads and highway, heavy civil engineering. That's my last number of years, and that was the affordable income. But I know how hard it is for y'all out there. But I would like to talk to you about how to get an attorney, because without an attorney, you're going to go nowhere. You're going to go nowhere. You're going to do the same frustrations I had, or everybody in the room can say the same thing. Without a good fighting attorney, CPS is corrupt. They're so corrupt. Just think of those pink ladies. They will lie to you. They will cheat. In fact, they stole my daughter. My daughter was 12 years old at the time that she was taken from me. My young son was 9, and my next son was 15. I have 3 boys and 3 girls. But the 2 girls and the boy are all grown up. And they're not, luckily they weren't attacked by CPS. I'm sorry to say hard words to you social workers out there, because I know a lot of times you guys work and frustrated, but you guys got to think of the families first. It's been studied a long time that the best parents are the biological parents. Yes, we may all have screw ups. I mean, we may be addicted to drugs. We may not know about supervision. We may not know about how to keep the house clean, or maybe about anger management, about time. Those things, there are parenting classes and programs you can go to. There's an anger management program. It's a 12-month class. There's parenting classes, or sometimes 4 weeks or 6 weeks, depending on the parenting class. Those are great, and parents should be able to be affordable, because you get the parents back. You can start off with supervisions or monitor visitations, but don't deny them visitations. So many of the social workers are, they take your child. It's bad in medical trafficking now. People are coming in to have their child, or they come in their child sick, and right away a caseworker is working there, and they want to take the child away. They want to take a child away. And it's wrong. It's wrong what they're doing. They're doing medical trafficking. They're doing child trafficking. They're doing alienation. Alienation is against the law. You don't alienate the kids. They don't tell the kids when they have them. The kids are getting molested by foster care families. You could all talk to one of the girls in this room. She was molested for years. And then when she grew up, she had kids in foster care. Oh, you were once in foster care. We're going to take your children from you. That is how corrupt a CPS server. And again, I challenge anybody in this room that is a social worker to call in. I had Carol from Maryland talk to us for 40 minutes about what she did in CPS. She said she had a college degree, a clinical psychology degree, and that she took 6 months of training in Maryland. But all the other people, the 4 or 5 people from Maryland, didn't really support what she was saying. But I'd love for her to come back because she was pleasant and sounds like a really good social worker. I wish I had her. But I imagine there are social workers out there that are good. Not all of them are bad. But when I see the pink ladies parade around in T-shirts, it says professional child kidnappers, or on the back it says, do you know where your kids are at? They were, what kind of thinking is that? And then the other day, there was a social worker in Chicago, Illinois, decided to post an ad from 1848, that she thought was funny, where it said, "Black children for sale." Now, that's wrong. But at that time of our life in the 1840s, we had slavery going on, and Black people were slaves, and it was wrong. So were Irish people were slaves. A lot of the immigrants, the Chinese were slaves. And the Native American Indians, the first immigrants to set foot on the soil that came over from Siberia through Alaska, settled down there, the first immigrants, they were slaughtered in the end of their life. By the time 1875 rolled around, most of them were dead. Most of them were dead. That was the dying. And the reason why I talk about this, I'm a Lakota Sioux. Yes, my ancestors were Lakota Sioux. My great-great-grandmother was a full-blooded Lakota Sioux from the Rosebud Reservation. She was married to my great-great-grandfather from Europe, who grew up in Norway, Ostend, Norway. Oh, excuse me, Bergen, Norway. I said the wrong one. Bergen, Norway. And his ancestry goes back to the 700s as a Viking. And so his complexion and my grandmother's Lakota Sioux was quite something. My grandfather, he was dark. He looked Indian, but my dad didn't. And I don't think I look. I mean, I have the high cheekbones and stuff. But the American Indians have been devastated. In fact, there's one thing you need to know, if any of you are listening out there, is that there's something called ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act. Now, the Indian Child Welfare Act is an act that was done in 1978, because for 100 years, Indian children were rounded up just like the Black children were, and given away to families so easily. There's no attempt for the family to do family reunification. So Congress passed a law, the ICWA law, the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978, and they said that if a child can be registered or is registered as a Native American among the 547 federal Indian tribes, then they're turned over to the Indian families, the reservation Indian families, or whatever the Indians have their home bases. And an Indian family will take the children in and help out the parents and help them all get together as a family. The Indian people want to help out their brothers and sisters. They have a lot of the Polynesian culture. I don't know if you know much about the Polynesian people in the Pacific, but I've traveled. I once lived out of Bag for 25 years, and I was one of those guys that surfed waves and rode nice exotic waves and judged contests and did surfing contests in places like Tahiti and Fiji and Cook Islands and Najima, Japan, that island off Japan, South Africa, Jeffreys Bay. I've been to so many things. I did that for a long time. And so, I've had an interest in life and so forth. But the Polynesian have a culture, especially the Samoans. The Samoans are one of the warmest, sweetest people. They'll take you in. In fact, I was so unfortunate. My son was going to play in the LA Coliseum. They were having a high school game, and it was the end of the year, the CIF final in Southern California. And so it was a championship game. And it's big time because my son's school is big, big time. The number one receiver at the high school is from Ohio, going to Ohio State, and he'll graduate in 2026. But anyway, my son's a part of that team. And so I couldn't go to the thing because I didn't have a car to make it to LA. So what did one of the Samoans do? They gave me their car. I drove a car to the LA Coliseum and got to watch my son play, and he met the first round NFL the player that Caleb Williams, who was the USC quarterback. I met him. He was sitting in the stands. I couldn't believe it. I was just thrilled. But that's the Samoa way of life. I mean, my son's graduation, the Samoans had their tents up and they had their flowers and candy around. And they're beautiful people. The Polynesians, everywhere I traveled, whether Tahitians or Hawaiians, they're beautiful people. They're just like the American Indians. I spent some time up there. So anyway, I know I'm spending a lot of time digressing and so forth about my life, about who I am. But I just want to let you know that I really care about people. And I try to people like you're my family out there. And I want to help out you go through these issues with CPS because they're bad. I wish I could change it all. And Congress is the one that's got to change it all. I mean, I don't know if you know the way our money's being spent, but, we all work hard for a living. I've worked 60 years. I paid a lot of taxes. And that money is supposed to be used correctly so. But then I find out that the government or the military submits a bill for $1,000 for a toilet seat. Well, there's got to be some thinking there. My goodness gracious, it doesn't cost $1,000 for a toilet seat. And then there's a cult group in Utah that's practicing some type of religion I don't know about, but they get millions of dollars every year to produce an alternative fuel. And over the 10 years, they've not produced one drop, but every year, millions of dollars. See, our money is thrown out there. We just don't see it. I mean, we do give it to Ukraine and Israel, but we give so much. We give $80 billion. That's more than what we're giving to Ukraine, to social services, to operate the child protection services. $80 billion. And you parents are sitting in this room trying to struggle how to put food on the table. Tonight, I was wondering how to do it. I had to count my money because I need some help because I don't have the food. I do have some food tonight. I bought some food. I couldn't believe it. And somehow I was able to finagle deals and things like that. And I was able to continue without a car, with a bike to get around. And that was phenomenal. But anyway, it still keeps me healthy. I mean, I can't believe it. I come right to the podcast and I'm energetic or excited maybe. I don't know. It's a kind of an interesting day. But I was trying to get back to the ICWA. So if you are a Native American Indian or your child is, and you're registered or could be registered, ask CPS about it. By law, they have to turn the kids over to the Indian tribe if they're registered or could be registered by one of the 547 federal tribes. That's a lot of tribes. I mean, that's the Crow, the Sioux, the Mohawks, the Casman. There's Mono tribe. There's so many tribes of Indians out there. Cheyenne, the Iroquois, the Chippewa. I mean, the Apache, the Comanche, the Navajos. I could go on and on and on. All you Indian children, it's something to help because why? Because for 100 years, they were just quickly giving Indian children out like they were free children. And that's wrong because they need to be with their families. You don't know how. I mean, we're hard and struggling. But then when I visit the Rosebud Reservation, searching my grandmother, I spent a couple months there, and I saw how badly it's the poorest place in the country, the Rosebud Reservation. It's so poor and so dismal. They've had so many heartaches in South Dakota with the American Indians. the Native American Indians. I have to query it because we also have another kind of Indian, and they're from India. And that's the continent over there in the Indian Ocean, that India. So when I speak about Indian, I speak about the American Native Indians. And I call them the first immigrants. They were the first people here in North America. And being the first people, they certainly deserve to be treated, and that's another thing too. For so long, they weren't treated equally stuff and they were abused. The tribe anyway, there's enough about that, but it is about CPS, and I'm here to talk on that. So um, I don't know if anybody has any other topics they want to talk about. I did not talk about how to call in. I should have done that. Um, I have my phone number posted. It's my work number. Can be reached at 626-698-0990. You're welcome to call and talk. I'll put you on live and we could talk about your case. So that is the number there. I want to thank Mr. Vincent Davis. He is an attorney. He's a family law attorney. And I hired him, and you should too. He is an excellent. He knows how to fight CPS. He's done civil lawsuits. Anybody that's done civil lawsuits successfully, that's the attorney you want there to fight in your corner, because most people won't do civil lawsuits against CPS. And right now, he can be reached at 888-888-6582. He'd love to talk to you. He offers 30 minutes to talk, consultation for $60. And he'll help you navigate through CPS, and he'll help you get back your children and so forth. So you can talk to him. If you want to retain him, he'll talk to you about that. But he's not going to push you to retain him. He can work in Southern California where he lives, but he also works in Northern California, and he does the other states. He was a couple weeks ago in Oklahoma, so I know that he does other states. The only thing is, when he goes out of state, you got to pay for his airfare and his accommodation, the car rental. And his fees would pretty much be the same whether you're here in California or maybe in Massachusetts or something like that. But you got to understand, each case is different pricing. It depends on how long the case has been going on and how complex. My case was not too complex, but it had been going on a long time. And so I couldn't get any more out of my home. I'd already taken out a credit line, so my home was maxed out. It was an expensive home anyway. So I sold it. The money I made off it, I used it to hire Mr. Davis, and he's successful. He got my 2 children back. And we would do a lawsuit, but I just couldn't afford doing a civil lawsuit. It's a lot of money. I know attorneys get some big money, big returns, but it's a lot of money to invest to do a civil lawsuit. The statute of limitations I have with my social worker lying on the stand, I think it's still possible to sue them. But I don't know of an attorney that wants to do it pro bono. It's hard. I know it's hard. People have to make a living. I respect that. But please call in, and you want to talk live. There's a half hour left at 626-698-0990. Now, if you want to do texting in a message, your comments, I love for you to do that. I know you found me on Facebook, and I'm broadcasting live on YouTube, and I'm using the StreamYard application. So when you're typing in a comment about your CPS questions, because I want to pertain to CPS, please show your name, city, state, or country, and be complete with your CPS case. The reason why I say the word country is that we've had about 9 or 10 countries call in, and they have the similar problem they're experiencing. We've had Australia, Canada, the United Kingdom, Ghana from South America, Mexico, Mozambique from Africa on the east side near Madagascar, the island off Africa, north of South Africa. And then we just had Denmark from Europe. And then recently on the west side of Africa, we've had Liberia. I get confused with Libya and Liberia. Libya is by the Mediterranean in the north part of Africa. Liberia. And the person that texted in, he said he was a scout. The scout program is really strong with the children's. So he was a scout leader, but he hasn't said much more, but he called in. So please, make your comments, and I will try to help you. The people in this room We'll try to help you. All you need to do is show your name, city, state, or country and be complete with your CPS case. And lastly, if you want to be a guest on my show, and I love having guests because it changes the flavor of the room and it's nice. I have a co-host, Danielle, and she's from Georgia, and she really does really hard to give her time to help you all. And then my other host is in this room today. She's in this room most of the time, and that is Faye from Richmond, Kentucky. And lately, she's been very helpful. So if you want to be a guest on the show, all you have to do is talk to my show producer. Her name is Grace, and she works behind the scenes. She's watched me. She helps me keep track of the time and other things there because it's an hour-long show, and I need to end it at a certain time because there's other shows taking place. You can only broadcast, I guess, the program he has is one show at a time. So all you have to do is email her the date and the time. Now, I don't mean to give the physical. You can say, hey, I want the Monday show in the morning, or I want the Tuesday show in the evening, or the Saturday show in the morning. All you have to do is say morning or evening, and then one of the days a week. I'm on 7 days a week, twice a day. That's 14 shows. I'd love to have you. I come on at 10 o'clock in the morning every day of the week except Sunday. And on Sunday, I come on at 8 in the morning. I'm on for 1 hour Pacific Standard Time. In the evening, I'm on at 7 o'clock at night for 1 hour Pacific Standard Time. And I'd love to have you as a guest on my show. So just please email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Oh, yeah, I said that previously. I'm sorry. I'm talking about comments here. I guess I haven't put. I thought I put up the. Let's see. Yeah, I got the wrong one here. Yeah. To schedule as our guest, email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. I'm sorry, my banners have been juggled around or something. I thought there was one. Anyway, to schedule as our guest, email our show producer, Grace, at vincentwdavis.com, and you be a guest speaker on the show. And that goes for any show there. So telling these things, I'm just trying to do it. I'm doing it a little bit out of order and stuff. So the three ways is to call in or comment in or be a guest and set that up in advance. Okay, Faye said, hello, y'all. She said, gunshots just went off in my neighborhood. An ambulance is coming. I hope no one was killed. Yes, that's sad. I mean, all of you live in neighborhoods, and for some strange reason, people like to use guns. And I hear this gun part is terrible. Because, a month ago in Indiana, at a shopping mall at 11 o'clock at night, we had middle school kids with guns shooting each other in the mall. Now, where were the parents? I mean, come on. Why were the kids allowed to go out at late at night? I mean, I think there should be a 10 o'clock curfew for anybody under the age of 18. I'm sorry. You get into trouble. I know it's been going on. And, I went to Woodstock, so I'm pretty liberal. So don't judge me. But I know from experience, I have a long time on this world. I've seen a lot and done a lot and traveled the world. But I tell you, there's no need to have someone out after 10 unless they're with your mom and dad, you're going to Disneyland, you're doing something there because you're not going to get into trouble. But all those kids were shooting guns at each other in Indiana. It isn't California or New York or Chicago. It's everywhere. Every state has problems. Every state has drugs. Our kids no longer in youth programs. I don't know what happened to Boy Scouts and so forth. All right. We got a verified caller, someone from area code 213. Hello there. This is Bob Pace, and welcome. Yeah. Who is this? Well, they said hello, and then they drifted off. Let me call them back and see if I can get them. Okay, so we had who was calls. Okay, I see what the problem is. Oh, okay, here we go. Okay. Okay, we'll try again here.
Hello.
Hello, who's this?
Hi, it's Natalia. Yes, you're mentioning about Woodstock and good
Well,
history.
I didn't want to bring back the hippie times, but I'm talking about people, in Indiana that were on the loose with
Right.
guns and shooting. And I'd say a curfew, and people are going to say, nah, kids can be out at midnight. But they get into trouble. They get into trouble.
See,
So,
here every couple hours there's an ambulance, and I know maybe somebody could be sick, but it's mostly shooting here.
well, that's in West Hollywood. I will attest to that. I've been to West Hollywood. There's shooting. And Faye right now just said that her neighborhood was shooting and the ambulance was just going by.
Yes, because I believe her because last night there was a big boom. It's another shooting. So they shoot in the middle of the night, and they like to shoot. I don't know why in the middle of the night here, but they do.
Well,
and sometimes they'll shoot.
Faye just said
three
people said 3 people and a dog was shot. So here I am talking to you all about a curfew. Where are your kids? It's like the social workers, the pink ladies. Where are your kids?
Right.
We as parents got to be responsible for our kids. We have to keep them off the social networks. We give them phones too early on. We need to give phones, maybe early, in elementary school as way of calling, but not necessarily to get online to the social, to the dark web. And so, there are phones that strictly are for phone calling only. And so we got to be more responsible for that. But it's sad because you got an agency, the child protection system, that are like vultures. They swoop in and they take children.
They have that out of control. They want that because Congress has made them out of control for some reason. Before they had some kind of, I don't know, maybe setback. But now it's out of control.
Well, I've been studying the history, of CPS. They say it's in 3 parts. They say in the 1600s, in the colonial times, there was a case of a man that was brought to trial, and that was the early part, and they call that part 1. And part 1 went from the 1600s to 1875. Why they picked 1875, I don't know. But again, there was a problem with somebody there.
It's the migration of the people in 1875 after
I don't know. I think it's because of the Indians. Because
of the Indians.
Yeah, the Indian Wars. See, the Civil War just ended. Our country is coming back together. But the Indian Wars were ending, and the Wild West is no longer being wild. Gold was discovered in North and South Dakota in the Black Hills. And lawness and everything else. But anyway, so from 1875 to 1962 is the second part of the child protection system. And then from 1602 to the present is the present one. And it isn't until the last 20 years that they've really been good about doing something about CPS.
I found out, and I knew this for a while, that the Germans, they were doing this, but in Nazi Germany. But what they were doing is they were transporting all the Polish children back and forth to Germany. But this is one of the things that they would do is just eliminate all their records and just put them in with Germans. So there are many people that don't know where their kids were at that time.
Oh, yeah, it's still going on. We have the terrorist group that are inducting 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, and 15-year-olds and put them in their terrorist armies. That's ISIS. That's ISIS, Hamas. Yes, and there is also Syria and Iran. It goes on. And they're doing it now in Africa. So, I know.
Africa, that's been a long time, though. They have been kidnapping them and putting them in armies very long time. It's not, like Sudan and so forth.
Yeah, well, the number one terrorist group in the world is Somalia. And the children are really bad there in Somalia. So, yes, the world out there, but we got to look at our own. And is there anything new that you have a question for that you called in about your CPS case or what we can do?
Well, I just want to like if the kids they come home, if could they come home together, or how to make contact with my children, because the two little girls, I don't know how to address that. Because I just
Well,
want them to
here's
know
how it's
about
supposed
their
to work.
brother.
You start off with the allegations, and then they do the investigation, and then they make a plan. And it's called a unification plan. The problem
Right.
is most of them don't want to do that. They end up in foster care, and the parents don't have money for an attorney, and they can't fight, and they use the court-appointed attorney, which is a waste of time. Or they try to do pro se, which means you fight them by yourself.
You're the attorney. You're your own attorney.
Right. Pro se is that way. And I tried it. I tried to use my private, I got nowhere. I mean, I met with the director in Orange County, and you know, he was the top honcho there. And his place where he worked out of was the Taj Mahal of India. It looked just like the Taj Mahal.
But did he have a special chair?
Yeah, no, he had no. Well, he had special chairs and stuff. When I met with him, it went in one ear, went the other. But he had so much gold around his neck.
Was he like American or something, or what was he?
He has so much gold. Yeah, he has so much gold around his neck. I thought he was going to fall over. I felt like, sir, do you want me to give you a what do you call those things you put underneath your arm? You walk with them. What do you call those?
What do you put on your arm?
Underneath your arm, you walk when you have a broken leg. What are those devices called?
Oh, like a cast or something?
No, not a cast. It's the walker. Crutch. Yeah. I said, I said to him, would you like some crutches? I'm afraid you're going to fall over. He didn't like that comment at all. He did not like it. And they were evil. I mean, I know they lied. I know they did revenge.
Yeah, they're evil. They're lying.
And they did revenge on my daughter. They did revenge on my daughter.
With my plants for some reason. Yeah. I don't understand it. They have a guy watch it in the morning.
Right. Yeah. I will, Faye. I will contact you. Okay. I was just catching up. We have somebody new called Stormy Candria, Christy Limebrough. I don't know if your name is Christy. That's good. Welcome, Christy. But what city, state, or country are you from, Christy? And what is your question? We have on the phone Nadia from West Hollywood, California, talking about her case. And she's asked me the question, how do the kids come home? Well, you're supposed to have a unification plan. If you don't have a unification plan, your kids are going to be adopted out to foster care system. The foster care consists of a shelter, a group home, a single family home. That's how foster is done. And the single family home, the kids, no matter what they're in, they're going to get abused. My children were abused. And it's wrong. It's wrong for people.
I know you told me that they did some weird things to your kids too.
Oh, they did. They did. My son was scolded. He likes to take his communion from the priest into the mouth. He doesn't want to touch it. But they chewed him out because he didn't do it that way. And they sent him to bed with no food, the foster care parents. When he's in the group, when they're in the group home, he accumulates so many points, and then they take away all the points because he drank too much orange juice. They were trying to ration the orange juice. And
that sounds like a concentration camp.
It was run by Boys Town, and they were booted out within 6 months because they did not know how to operate a home for children. You see, Boys Town.
Because the way they're describing, it's like severe, like just for orange juice.
Oh, it is. I mean, I can tell you all kinds of hurt. My son, who's in high school taking STEM classes, had to study past 10 o'clock, and they say lights out. So he would put his flashlight under the cover, and they come out and chew him out and take away his points because he was studying in bed. That's how awful the foster care system is. That's our group home.
Yeah, their group home it's like they living all together, not in a house, right?
I want to keep my kids together. So there's 8 children. There were 3 of my children together. Then there were the house parents. And these house parents were in their early 20s, don't have much experience. And they had children of their own. She was pregnant and they had one that was like under a year old running all over the place. So they had their children they didn't take care of them. They were slobs. They didn't keep the room clean, and they took all the money. They hoarded everything that they got. They hoarded the money.
That's what they do. They
hoard
take
money.
all the money and they never do anything.
I know they don't. Like my son with a foster care in a single family home, they bought him over 100 pairs of socks because if they didn't spend the money would be asked back. So they said, okay, we'll go buy socks. Well, my son says, what am I going to do with 100 pairs of socks?
Sell them. That's what I would do.
Yeah, right. Well, hey, look, I'm looking at the clock. It's 8 o'clock, and I'm going to have to end the show. I started a little bit late only because of my transportation and my computer of all crazy things. Did an update, and an update, sometimes you don't have control over it. But I want to thank you all in this room.
If you need anything, I'm here.
I know you are, and I appreciate you calling in, Natalie.
I'll help you if you need help. It's okay.
I will. Natalie, thank you so much, West Hollywood. I appreciate you calling back.
Thank you.
Faye, thank you for the input. I will call you after the show. Stormy, Condre, Christy, thank you very much for calling in. I don't know what your question is or city state, but I appreciate you being in there. And then I want to thank Michelle White for the lovely comment you gave me about the inspirational. That made me feel good because I do try to inspire you people to get your kids back and so forth.
Everybody, I pray for all of you.
I know you do.
Every day.
I know you do. You're a very sweet lady. Alberta Fu.
I don't know. The stupid guy harassed me for my plans.
Right. Yeah.
And he's trying to figure out a way to get in the gate, but he can't.
Yeah. Alberto Fu. I have no idea where you're from, but thank you for, sending a comment. Lori Hiller, you in this room all the time. You put the name William Motor. Thank you. I don't know what you need, but I like all the people who are listeners. So again, God bless y'all. Thank you so much for listening and your good comments, your emojis. I love the thumbs up and the hearts and stuff. That's really, really nice. And you will get your kids back. You got it. And come tomorrow. I'll be on tomorrow at 10 o'clock. I'll be on tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And I would love to see you and help you. Okay? So good night and God bless. And I'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. This is Bob and Natalie signing off.
Thank